How's everybody doing? Excited, yeah? All those winners, perfect timing. So I'm going to talk today about how to target consumers at every stage of the buying funnel. So you've been listening for the last couple days about how to do better SEO, how to do better AdWords optimization or Google Ads. And what I want to do is to put all that together for you guys and change your framework a little bit. So many of us have been used to thinking of like channels, right? I'm going to do my Google organic strategy, or I'm going to do my Facebook strategy. My hope is that you guys will walk out of here today not worrying so much about your channels, but about your audience. So before I get started, I want to tell you a little bit, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I started in this industry a very long time ago. It was a summer between my freshman and sophomore year of college, and I was bored, so I picked up a newspaper. I said, I wonder if there's any jobs. So I went, and there was a job doing customer service at an internet company. This is 1999. So I thought, okay, that could be the future. So I went to the interview, and I got hired. The next day, I showed up at work and kind of excited about it. What they neglected to tell me is that it was customer service for a Viagra. So I go to work, and they're like, well, you just have to pacify them, because it's all the angry men wondering where their order is. And I was young. And I, believe it or not, learned a lot from that job. And that's how I got started. After a while, I was asking, well, where are you getting all these orders? 1999, guys, there was no Google. So I started trying to learn what were they doing, and it turned out that they used to create websites, and the name of it was like !buy Viagra. And you would put them in the Yahoo directory, and they'd go up, like the yellow pages, and that's how they started their business. So that's how I started my career a very long time ago. And based on everything I've done in 20 years in this industry, I'm really coming now to a point where I realize that even though, Google Organic is changing a lot, Google Ads is changing a lot. We saw the presentation yesterday with Matt where he's talking about automation, and AI is going to become more and more prevalent. So we really need to learn how to maximize the audience that we do have. So that's what this presentation is about. Here are the different topics that we'll go through. Oh, it's a little off, but. So how many of you guys here are doing spaghetti marketing? Where you're just like throwing, shit at the wall and see what sticks, essentially, right? So a lot of us still do this. If you're still doing, like you get a list of keywords and you send it to a writer and say, give me articles, and you put them up and you hope and pray they work. So this happens a lot still. And I want to change your mindset a little bit, because our clients, our customers have changed a lot, especially in the last few years. They're very savvy, they're very sassy, they know what they want, and they know how to get it. So our job as marketers is to start really understanding our audience and understanding what it is that they need, when they need it, and where they need it. So instead of thinking, okay, what is my Google Organic strategy? We should be thinking about, not even thinking about that, and instead focusing on optimizing for our audiences. So the concept of search engine optimization should be replaced by audience optimization. Before I continue, I want to take a moment and play a little game. So what I'd love for you guys to do is to turn to someone next to you. I'm going to ask you guys a few questions, discuss for 3 seconds, and then vote. Okay, so let's see. The first question is, what do you think is more popular, Westworld or Stranger Things? So take a minute, discuss. Go ahead. Okay. Oh, I don't know how to whistle. Okay, so who votes for Westworld? Who thinks Westworld is more popular? No one? Really? Not a single person? Wow, I love it. What's more popular, Westworld or Stranger Things? What has more search volume? Stranger Things. My God, you guys are good. I would have sworn Westworld. I just finished the first season. It was amazing. Loved it. What about Cat or Donald Trump? Take a minute, discuss. So, all right. Who votes for Donald? Oh my God, only one person? Okay, 1 vote, 2 votes. What about cats? All right. Quite wrong. Yeah, I had a hard time finding anything more popular than Donald Trump. Yeah. What about between the iPhone and Bitcoin price? This was super relevant a few months ago, not so much anymore. What do you guys think? All right, so who thinks iPhone? A few, okay, you guys are mixed. A few people think iPhone. Bitcoin price? Okay, I think we're pretty mixed on this one. It's actually the iPhone. Yeah. And we have one more between Meghan Markle and the Dairy Queen. What do you guys think? Maybe. All right, so who thinks Meghan Markle? All the women. Dairy Queen? All right, Dairy Queen it is. Yeah, surprising, right? So there is a point to this game. And the point is that we just took, 5 minutes, and I got to know you guys a little bit better. So I played a game to understand my audience. Like, I now know that you guys don't like Westworld, so I won't make any references. So I got to know you guys a little bit. So in the same way, this is our job as marketers, to start getting to know our audience. And it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be difficult. We can play games like this on our websites, through our emails. We can do surveys and stuff to try and get to know our audience. And now we get down to the more serious stuff. So the honeymoon stage, right? When you first start dating someone, you want to know everything about them. You want to know what they love to eat, their favorite color. You know, you just want to know everything about them. You can't know enough. And that's what we need to start doing with our audience, is getting to know our audience really, really well, getting to understand them, to know their pain points, what do they struggle with, what do they love. And we can do this using data that we have available to us, but we can also do this using our customer service data, simply asking questions. But it's really important to start building our personas. So I know this was referenced yesterday, that it's really important to have personas. How many of you guys already do have personas for your business? There's maybe a couple. It's really hard to see, it's the lights. But so, if you don't have personas, this is something you need to start thinking about, because if you don't have your personas, then how are you targeting people effectively? So really important to start looking into building your persona profiles, and most importantly, understanding their pain points. Because when people are comfortable, they don't buy, right? If I'm happy, I'm okay. But the moment I have a pain point, something that I need to solve, that's what's going to make me go and make a purchase. So you guys have to understand what are those pain points so you can market to them more effectively and helping them to solve their pain points. And furthermore, you also need to understand the buyer's journey. So, we have the 3 major stages: awareness, consideration, and decision. But each persona will go through a different journey to get to the purchase. Some people may just go straight into price comparison and then they buy. Other people may spend a lot of time researching, asking questions. So you have to start profiling your personas and understanding what their pain points are and how they get to a purchase. And then you take all that information and you do your gap analysis. So this one's kind of complicated, and really at the end is where this comes into play, where you can put all this into a table. So I added it in this part of the presentation so you can see what you need to get to at the end of all this research. So now let's talk about the top of the funnel, right? Awareness. So that's the point where people don't know anything about you. They may not even know you exist. So the first goal is to feed the top of the funnel. Because if you don't put people into the funnel, they're not going to come out with a purchase. So again, I want to emphasize how important it is to be more precise. Because, like I was saying, it just gets harder and harder. So if we think like a sniper, where we're going to be super precise in how to reach a particular persona, then our efforts are going to be more, have better return. So starting with Facebook at awareness, the biggest thing with Facebook is that it's the best platform to expose people to your product or service. So I know Marty yesterday was talking a lot about generating demand, right? And pairing a keyword with your brand. That's what we can do with Facebook. So yesterday I was going through my feed, and I saw a really, really cute dress from Gymboree. And it's one that I'd wanted to get my daughter, but it was a little too expensive, so I passed it by. And then I see it again yesterday, and it's like 50% off. So of course I'm like, I didn't know I needed it. I didn't really, but it's in my face, and of course I'm suckered into it. So I said, okay, and I go and I add it to cart, and then there's 3 other things on sale that I liked. And this happened, so I ended up spending more money than I needed to, but I got the super cute dress. But that's what happens, right? When you're on Facebook, you go on, you're checking on your friends, but if there's something that you really catches your interest, that's where you can generate that demand. And when it comes to Facebook, you should put a big part of your budget into using Facebook to generate awareness, because it's the cheapest way still, although it is getting more and more expensive, as Marty was saying. And it enables you to start using custom audiences, which there's so much you can do with these audiences. One of the best ways to build these audiences is leveraging engagement. So you can actually build audience based on people that see a certain percentage of your video, or people that visited your page, people that liked a post. And that enables you to start fine-tuning how you market to these audiences. This is the one on video engagement. So you can literally have 5 or 6 different audiences based on how much of your video they watch. So if someone watches your entire video, those people are ready for you to give them a message based on an offer. So here's 10% off, buy. But if someone only saw 3% of the video, they might be not ready for that type of offer. So when it comes to Google search, again, we're moving on. So what I'm doing in this presentation is for every stage of the funnel, awareness, consideration, decision, I'm going to tell you how to market using these channels based on the buying stage. So now we're going into Google search at the awareness stage. So again, having done this for 20 years, what I'm seeing now is Google's really changing how they deliver their results. It used to be just a list, right? And now it's an experience. And they're adding more and more to this experience. They're getting ready for a voice-enabled future, so they're really focusing on delivering results that have a quick answer. And because of how Google is changing how they present their information, so are how people search is also changing. So in the past, you would have searched for weather. Now people are looking for how is the weather today, or what is the weather in Oklahoma City, which is insane, right? Have you guys seen? It's pouring, unbelievable. So as how they search changes, so should your strategy. So the days of the really factual keywords are gone. Now you have to start building keyword lists based on questions and based on the types of answers that people in your space are looking for. Here's an example of a query here is how to save iPhone battery. So if you were trying to rank for this, you're going to be SOL, because there's essentially only 4 organic listings here. You have your featured snippet, you have your people also ask, you have your videos. So if you're thinking of spaghetti marketing or shotgun marketing, you wouldn't even spend the time to research each keyword's results. But if you do that and you don't spend the time, then you might actually you're wasting time and energy if there's just no way you could actually get into this SERP. So there's a few tools. I'll show you 3 or 4 from the SEMrush platform that can help with this. This one's called Topic Research, and what it does is you give it a base, a foundational keyword, and then it gives you lateral phrases. So in this case, when I'm doing a keyword list, I may not have thought to look at venture capitalist, but there is obviously a relationship there. So you can start expanding your phrases with this tool, and then you move on to your keyword magic inside SEMrush. And this one also has, you can take, for example, that same keyword, Bitcoin, and you see that it has it broken down by different phrase matches. And on the right, you can see the actual list of keywords. You can filter that by questions, and you can also do all sorts of filtering based on volume, etc. Once you have picked your keywords, then you have to spend the time to see how to optimize for each one of them. So this tool is, it's the, who knows what this one's called? I forgot. Anybody? Damn it. Okay, I don't remember. But this one, it'll tell you the average text length, and it'll tell you semantically related keywords that other pages that are ranking for include. So when you're creating the content, you want to make sure, like, if your keyword was Bitcoin and your article was 500 words, not going to work. But if you're trying to optimize for, like, how tall is the Empire State Building, you do not need a 3,000-word article, right? You just need an answer. And then this is another tool. It's called the SEO Writing Assistant. I do remember that one. And it's a Chrome extension that you connect with Google Drive, and you can, in your Drive, see immediately what your optimization score is. And it'll suggest other lateral keywords, etc. So this is a great tool to make sure you're doing the right optimization for every keyword. And then just diversify. I'm going to speed up a little bit because I don't know how I'm doing on time. So make sure you're not just doing blogs. You want to make sure you're doing videos as well and other types of content. And moving on to digital PR. So influencers, I don't know that we had a session on influencers, but they're very effective, especially at the awareness stage. I've been measuring this for some years now, and you get about 5 to 6 times the return on investment when you work with the right influencers. I do hear a lot of people that, like, they don't. So I had someone pay, I forget who it was. It was a celebrity, and they went and spent like $100,000 on something that had no return because there's no correlation. So you just have to make sure you pick the right influencers. And this is a little tip, not a lot of people know about this. When you work with influencers and you make videos, again, Marty was saying how important it is to use videos, some influencers will allow you to have admin access to their pages. So if you have admin access to the influencers' pages, you can use their audiences to market. You pay for it. It's on your ad account on Facebook, but you can actually leverage their audiences. The influencers love it because they're building their engagement and they get social proof. And for you as a marketer, the ads, it's a vote of confidence. So it's a really powerful tactic. And if you guys want to, I have this spreadsheet that helps to rank them against each other, because a lot of people don't know how to compare, like, which one should I work with? This one has 5 million followers. This one has, 100,000. So it's a good way to connect to compare them based on CPM. And then when it comes to Google Ads, again, I won't get into it very much because we talked about it yesterday, but the only thing I would say here is to use the alpha-beta structure, where you use beta campaigns with broad match modified keywords to essentially fish for what are the best search terms. And then you use the best search terms to create alpha campaigns that are single keyword campaigns. And even within Google Ads, you can create a little mini funnel based on how you market to them. So at the first touch, you deliver one ad. At the second touch, a different ad, etc. Now, nurturing consumers in consideration. So I want to take another brief pause, 2 minutes, maybe 3, for you guys to talk to the person next to you and talk about the last thing you bought online. I shared my story with Gymboree. They always get me. I'm a total sucker for that. But I'd love to hear, for you guys talk to each other, and then maybe a couple people can share what they last bought and how many clicks, like what was their journey to purchase. So 2 minutes. Do we have? I'm going to check my time. I have no idea where I am.
We've got about 3 minutes.
3 minutes to finish?
4 minutes, yeah.
Holy crap. Okay. All right.
Slightly. Yeah.
Huh?
He said he's slightly short.
Okay.
So there are a couple of minutes over his way.
I think so. I mean, I'm halfway through. But what I'll do is I'll just speed through this part. Okay, would anyone like to share? Would you guys like to share? Anyone, like the last thing you bought? No one? No one bought anything? A dog toy? Okay. And did you research it, or did you see it on Facebook? How did you get to the purchase? I can't hear you. Oh, an updated? Okay, but how did you search for it on Amazon, or did you go to Google? Okay, just Amazon? Okay. Anyone else? Shampoo, all right, on Amazon or Google? Walmart, awesome, yeah, cool. So a couple days ago, I asked this question to someone, and apparently they saw an ad on Instagram, and they're like, oh, and they bought. So that's super rare. What's actually a lot more common is that it takes between 8 to 14 touch points to get people to convert. So this is a metric that came out of eMarketer some time ago, and those touch points are increasing because there's so many options now. So it generally takes a lot of nurturing to get people to purchase. So I have like 3 minutes, guys, so I'm going to speed through the rest. And of course, the deck's going to be available afterwards. So in consideration, it's mostly nurturing them. So you want to be everywhere your audience is. So again, coming back around to understanding your audience, like the audiences now are changing a lot. And some of the younger people, for example, they're buying on Instagram. Not so many on Snapchat anymore, but they're researching through asking their friends on Facebook. So you really need to be everywhere they're going to be able to nurture them in consideration. So in awareness, you put them into the funnel. In consideration, you just get them to see you everywhere to convince them to eventually buy. So when it comes to Facebook ads, it's, again, at this point, at the consideration, it's mostly just remarketing. And a little tip is to build audiences based on the duration. And then you can change your call to action based on how long. So at 30 days, there's still a warm lead. At 60 days, not so much. At 90 days, they're frigid. So what you give them, the ads are going to be a little bit different. You want to play with lookalike audiences. I mentioned those earlier, but really important to build those audiences effectively. Otherwise, they're just going to crash and burn if you don't do it well. And you can waste a lot of money with the wrong lookalike audiences. And use your exclusions. So as you get to know your personas, as you get to know who they are, don't just tell Facebook what you want, tell them what you don't want. So in this case, if you look at the better, it's saying, include this, but exclude unpaid training entry senior managers. A little bit like your negatives in Google AdWords. And you can shape these audiences as you study them, and add more and more of these qualifiers. When it comes to Google search, ad consideration, I think the best strategy is to focus on featured snippets. I do believe this is going to be bigger and bigger, and probably, next year, the biggest topic is going to be like, how do we optimize for featured snippets? And because as Google's doing more and more with voice, you've got to get into those featured snippets. A couple of tools at SEMrush that are helpful for featured snippets. There's where it says linking to domain on the right. You can enter your competitors and just see which featured snippets they own and use that list to try and steal it. And you can also, in Keyword Magic, you can filter on the right where it says SERP features by keywords that already have a featured snippet. So if Google's already presenting a snippet, those are opportunities that you want to take. And then make sure you use these featured snippets in your editorial calendar. So you want to have some of your other general keywords, awareness-related keywords, and then add the consideration. These should be your featured snippet targets. And then when it comes to Google Ads, again, just mostly remarketing and running RLSAs that are a lot more targeted. And again, Matt talked about this, but use ad customizers where possible to make it even more targeted. And then when it comes to email marketing, some of the ad consideration, again, you want to make sure you capture that email. So if they come to you, if they click through, maybe an influencer gave a suggestion, grab their email, give them something, anything, but you really want to grab their email so that you can then start convincing them, right? You're going to put them in a funnel, and you're going to send them more and more emails. I get these emails all the time, again, from Gymboree. That's my one device. And 50%, they're always 50% off. Like every week they have a new everything 50% off. And I fall every single time. I'm like, oh, this time they're really 50% off. I'm going to go buy all this stuff. That's how with email, it's a really powerful way to do that. And then finally, closing the deal at conversion. You've nurtured them. Now you got to close the deal. You got to get that sale. So when it comes to Google Ads, again, remarketing, but focusing on shopping cart. So you can tell Google to give a certain ad to people who hit the one page but didn't check out. They didn't get to the thank you. So you can really fine-tune your remarketing based on that data. When it comes to Google Organic, it's about reputation monitoring at the end of the funnel, at the decision stage. So, let's say you got them through Facebook, they did a little bit of research. The last thing they're going to do is like brand reviews, brand return policy, brand and experience. They're going to research you. So you want to make sure you own all those SERPs. And when it comes to email marketing, it's just getting them into a shopping cart abandonment series. So as you can see here, this was I was buying a Chromecast, but I didn't check out. I changed my mind. So immediately Amazon sends me this email. Oh, okay, maybe I'll buy it. And finally, measuring and refining. Here's an example of a potential buyer's journey. So Tommy here gets a catalog in the mail. He sees an ad on a billboard, sees an ad on Facebook, hears it on Spotify, sees it on TV, walks the dog, and while the dog is taking a crap, decides to buy the shoes. And the marketer, on the other end, sees last click attribution and says, oh, this was a mobile purchase. Let's put all our money on mobile. But what they're not looking at is the journey, all the steps. So you guys, as you're thinking about audience optimization, need to really understand what the journey looks like across channels for your audience. And these are the different models that are available in Google Analytics to check attribution. So if you go in Analytics, there's a place you just literally change them and you can compare them to each other to see what's most appropriate. And then you can also start segmenting. So again, in the beginning, you were trying to just know your audience, but you didn't have any data. Now, at this point, you should have a lot of data. So you can start segmenting your audiences and understanding how they behave. In this case, this is a segmentation based on age. And if you look at the 25 to 34, they had 3 times more visits than my 45 to 54. But if you look at the revenue column, even though they have 1/3 of the traffic, it's double the revenue. And this client, this website, they wouldn't have known, and they would have spent more money and time on like Instagram, trying to reach the younger generation, but when in reality, it's the 45 to 54. And for the same website, look at the difference between device. So mobile has 3 times the traffic, but the purchases are 10 times on tablet. So for this particular website, they do all their research on mobile, but they buy on desktop. And there's a lot of different ways that you can segment your data in Google Analytics. Here's the takeaways. I don't think I have time to really get into them, and thank you very much.